Welcome to the Fancounters Celebrity Podcast. My name's Nick. Thanks so much for being here this week. Yes, we were off for a couple weeks, or I keep saying we. Elizabeth hasn't been here in forever. She will come back someday, I hope. You're coming back, right, Elizabeth? And I had to take a couple weeks off. Got very bogged down with work and personal stuff and just needed a couple weeks to not have to edit a podcast and create questions and book guests and all of that stuff because it all takes a lot of time. So I appreciate you coming back after us not releasing a show for a couple weeks, but I'm here, and for the foreseeable future, we'll keep releasing shows as I've got a lot of great guests lined up. We caught up a little bit and we're ready to rock and roll. Now, this week, I don't know if you guys remember, but I've always thrown out this offer. If you want a guest on the show and you send me an email to hello@fancounters.com, I will try and get the guests on the show. And if I do, I will ask the questions that you want asked, or you can do it yourself. And in this case, we have our first guest based on a fan suggestion, a fan of Fancounters. And that guest today, from the hit television show on Nickelodeon, iCarly, she's been on Hannah Montana, Bunk'd. She's been one of the original creators and writers for Mad TV. Mary Scheer is here, and she is going to tell us a little bit about her career and some of those highlight moments that she's experienced in her Hollywood life. We also get to talk a little bit about her kids and how she's brought up her kids sort of in the Hollywood spotlight, but not jaded by it, not like taking it for granted or using it to their advantage. And we kind of go into that topic as well. So it's a very interesting interview. And I want to thank Lindsay for writing in and asking me to get Mary Scheer on the show. And Lindsay, I made your request happen. Here she is on the Fancounters Celebrity Podcast, a guest by request. Right now, it's Mary Scheer.
Coming to you from nowhere near the entertainment capital of the world, this is Fancounters with Nick and Elizabeth on the Podfix Network.
There was this mob of people, and they're screaming my name.
Crazy fans.
Stop following me. Don't come around my house. If you do, the cops are going to be at yours. If I'm having dinner with my wife, don't sit down at my table. Don't follow me into the bathroom.
Can I take a picture? We're gonna. Oh my God.
I think this guy wants to fight me. Ended up being a fan.
I'm the only one that's ever been on Sam Jackson and lived to tell about it.
Well, guess what? I have a big surprise for you.
That's why we call it Fancounters.
I don't think you're going to last on the air very long.
Mary Scheer, welcome to Fancounters. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Nick. I'm happy to be here. Hi, everybody. I'm waving to you. Can you see me?
Nope, not through this medium.
Oh, all that energy expended for no reason.
People have wanted us to take this as a thing for YouTube. We've got our shows on YouTube. They want us to do video. My partner, Elizabeth, who's normally here, but because she's afraid of COVID, she doesn't come over anymore. She,
I don't blame her.
she wishes that. You know what? I forgot where I was going to go with that. But anyway,
with YouTube, you were
YouTube. Yeah, she doesn't want to be on YouTube. She's like, this face is not for. We worked in radio together for a reason, she says. So.
Oh, no, never think that way. I've seen the most hideous people on YouTube.
Well,
never say that about yourself.
We have to have a better self-image, I guess.
So true. Kids, are you listening?
Yeah. Speaking of kids, there was 3 kids in particular that wrote into us. We always pitch the fact that our fans of the show can write in and ask, if they want to have a guest on the show, and if we get them, we'll involve them in the show. So today's the first time I got a guest that people have asked for. You are that person, so congratulations.
Oh my gosh, that's so nice. I can't believe there are people out there who are asking about me. That's nice to know.
They are. So Lindsay, Spencer, and Charlie all wrote in asking us to get you on the show because they want their questions answered. So let's start with a question that they wrote in. And
okay.
Their first one was, you played a very uptight and overbearing Mrs. Benson on iCarly, and they want to know, do you have any similarities with her in your real life?
Of course. Don't I sound uptight and overbearing and horrible?
Not so much.
It's these characters that are written mostly by men in TV have two images of moms. She's bland, and she just, like, everything she touches, she wants to hug. Or it's she's a monster and uptight, or she's the evil stepmother, you know? So there's just not a wide variety. So you go into these auditions, and all it says is mom. And this, it was the end of the day after 3 auditions. It was my 3rd audition. And I just thought, oh, what the heck? Just, you know, that energy of like, I think it came out in the audition. So I think when it's written, sure, there's hints of what it might have been. But this was the pilot. Nobody had created this character. It was just mom, you know, Freddie's mom, or whoever's mom. I've played moms on many different shows. You have to kind of create everything, so you can really have fun with that. And I always tell young actors, you know, because I still teach improvisation and theater, they come to me and they say, well, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to imagine with this. I thought, oh, there's so many times they say you are in the wrong business if you don't have an imagination.
Right.
Because it's so much up to you, you know. But ask my kids, yeah, I'm overbearing. Lots of chores.
Ew. We don't want to live in your house. My kids would not do well over there.
No, I try to balance it out. Fun. Maybe there's a little bit too much puppetry in our house. But no, they know they have to get off the phone and not waste their life and, you know, do stuff that's useful.
Well, we're going to talk about 2 of the things you just mentioned in a little while. You mentioned puppets, which I want to talk about later, and female writers.
Okay.
I got some questions about that too. But first, one more question from the kids that wrote in. Having been on more television shows than I have time to list, some of the favorites that I've seen you in is Seinfeld, Mad TV, Bunk'd, and of course iCarly. They want to know if you keep in touch with any of your cast members. And more importantly, Mary, are you inviting celebrity friends over for game nights?
They specifically want to know if I have game nights with celebrities. I think there is that image, right? We all think that, like, oh, last week I just had, you know, whoever over for brunch, and we were just sitting around talking about shop, you know. During the pandemic, I'm not having anybody in my house. It's not that I'm a germaphobe, but this thing is real. It's deadly. It's scary, and I'm following the rules, and I'm wearing a mask. But you know what? I do talk to people on social media. That's what I love about social media, and even Facebook. I'll go on that. But as far as just hanging out, it's all right. Let's imagine my dad was a mechanic. Let's imagine your dad's a mechanic. When you're done working during the day, do you really want to talk shop? And literally shop in our house. When you're done with your workday, do you want to have people come over and say, how did that audition go? Oh, that audition was awful. I do talk to a lot of people online, but no, not in person so much. I have a really diverse friend group for a reason, because I like to meet people that have a lot of other things going on besides just Hollywood.
Yeah. Now, how old are your kids, Mary? Are they like teenagers? Are we talking about? Like, what age are they? Because you've been on a lot of Disney shows, so I want to tie in a question here depending on your answer.
Oh, okay. My daughter is in graduate school, Abby, and she's 22, and my son Nate is about to start college, albeit online, and he just turned 18, Nate. Yeah, so I have 2 kids, and now you know that I'm over 50.
No, you didn't have to say that. So is Elizabeth, and she says it all the time, so it's okay.
Yeah, it is okay. Age is just, I don't feel any different unfortunately, than when I was 30. I think I should have matured a little bit more. But no, it's absolutely okay whatever age you are. We all have to accept that.
Well, I just turned 40 last year, and I thought I would feel differently. Like when I was younger, I thought when you're old, you're going to feel old. And I still don't. It's just kind of one of those things.
You're going to feel like that your whole life. You're going to think, every birthday you say, is that really my age?
Yeah.
That's so weird. And wow, are they really that age? That's so old. When you're young, you think that. And it's just like, I can relate to so many different ages that's the cool thing about being older too, I've been through that, or,
Yep.
40, you're so young,
So did your kids, because they were growing up and in high school, middle school, kind of those years when iCarly was very popular and some of those other Nickelodeon Disney shows that you were on, did they ever geek out about, like, did you take them to the set and have them meet the cast and all of that? I mean, what was that experience like for your kids?
Yeah, they were, from the time I was on the Martin Short show in 2000, my daughter was, I think, 2.5 or 3 at the time. And, sometimes, like, you have a dressing room, you bring your kids to work. All people have to do that when, your babysitter calls in sick or whatever. So they have been to sets. And I can remember one particular job, which was Hannah Montana, of all things.
Yeah.
There, I did that episode, and my kids happened to be there because it was like spring break, or they had off school for some reason. So I brought them there, and it could not have been more fun for them because the director was letting them call action, and they're not Hollywood kids. I really made a concerted effort to make sure they weren't like, oh, yeah, we know these celebrities. Yeah, I bought these shoes that are $500. My kids go to public schools in California, and their friends are from all walks of life. I did not want them going to celebrity high school, middle school. So they've been on sets. They're very familiar with how it works, but it also is a job to them. It's a workplace. And a lot of times kids are not really supposed to be working when they're young.
Right.
That's for adulthood.
Yeah, lots of time for that.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. If you're making money off your kids, then you need to look a little bit deeper into yourself.
Let's talk about writing a little bit, because not only are you a great actress, very funny, natural chemistry with lots of
you're
kids
my new
and
best
stuff.
Friend.
Aw, that makes me so happy to hear. But
not only am I a great actress, yes, please continue.
Please go on. But you're also an amazing writer.
Well, I have done a lot of writing jobs. I'm in the Writers Guild West Union, which is really hard to get into unless you've done a lot of writing jobs. But like I don't know if you know the famous manager, Bernie Brillstein, who passed away years ago. He said, Mary, you're like a well-kept secret. You do all these things, and nobody knows, like, the jobs that you've worked on. MXC, Most Extreme Elimination Challenge, which you look to things like Wipeout. That's what MXC was. It was a comedy show where people were doing amazing pratfalls. Mm-hmm. So Wipeout just copied that show. And we created it, the 5 actors and I who worked together at a theater company.
That went on for many years, too, right?
That was on for many years, yeah. And then I had just enough writing gigs. I worked on a show called Nightstand, which was a mockery of a talk show. And I worked on so many different shows so that when I got on Mad TV, I was one of the few cast members. Phil Lamar and I were the only writer-performers because we were already in the union and we had already had writing jobs. So the message in that is, diversify, write all the time because you're going to be called on as an actor to write for yourself. And it's really useful for acting. And it's just a great mental exercise, write in a journal, whatever. Writing is amazing.
But you've mentioned several times that you're often the lone female writer on a staff of men. What I can't figure out is Hollywood's so progressive in its characters that they bring onto television and the people that they are having us watch and get used to through our shows, our favorite shows and that kind of thing, different lifestyles that some people in the Midwest, you're from Michigan, they're not always as accepting of different lifestyles and stuff. So with Hollywood being so progressive, why do you not think that there's more female writers in that room?
I think it might be changing now. I don't know. There wasn't a Shonda Rhimes when I was a writer. She is, the powerhouse, Grey's Anatomy, and many other shows.
Yep.
She is new. When I was on writing staffs, people would say to me, oh, well, we got our female writer, even though I was hired because I submitted a script. And there was one show that I haven't written in a few years because the last show I did, again, I was the only female on staff, and it was a female stand-up. I won't say her name. She's a truly horrible person. She was so awful to me, and she made sure I got fired after a couple weeks.
Dang.
So unless women help each other out, and there need to be more women in power, you're hired as an actor, you're hired as a writer, you're hired as a director. There need to be power women like Shonda Rhimes, executive producers that do the hiring. That's where it starts.
We do need more of that in a lot of things, including government. But that's another topic that we don't get into on this show, but I do feel strongly about that.
Me. Yes. Nick, we can't change the world overnight.
No.
It is getting more diverse, I hope. But diverse has to be more than just, they're male, female, this race, whatever. It has to be a socio-economic thing, too. You can't hire all the same people in the Millionaires Club. It has to be really diverse backgrounds.
Yeah, and I'm really not talking about quotas. I'm really talking about acceptance and positions and respect and all of that.
Yes, yes.
Now, I mean, and I say this because my wife is a female engineer in a very male-dominated healthcare field. And, for her to get where she needs to be, I think has been tougher because she's a woman. So I see it from being the husband, the supportive side. And, and I've got 2 daughters. So, I'm rallying for them. I want a good world for those girls. So
they'll have it. Because I had a daughter first, now I'm in we need boys to be encouraged too. We've had girl power for years and years and years, and now you hear girl power, then they get out in the working world, and they're still not being hired. My brother is an engineer who works in Northern California. So that whole world, if they don't get to a place where they're seen, it's like hitting a brick wall at the end of saying, go 60 miles an hour, go, 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 you can do this, you got this. But what needs to change is that upper management that does the hiring. So, of course, encourage them. They need encouragement. And now we need to also encourage boys. Don't leave them behind, because we need positive males that say women are doing this just as well, right? You know that too.
Yep.
So.
Well, let's talk. I got tons of questions, and I want to get through some of the ones that I really want to know the answers to. Are you still auditioning for jobs, or are you at the point where you kind of get calls where casting directors just know, oh, Mary's going to fit the part. She's perfect. Let's call her.
Oh, my gosh. I wish that were true. It's so funny because, yesterday, and COVID has changed everything, but yesterday my living room became a studio. My son, Nate, who's 18, became my cameraman, and I did an audition based on previous jobs I've done because a casting director knew me. So just based on, okay, here are her credits, we're going to have her audition. My living room, clear out all the furniture. Okay, this is what we have to shoot. Here are the 6 shots we have to do for this scene, whatever it is. And you just have to be so versatile. And I wish that there were just casting directors who watch TV or looked at people's credits, because a lot of times if you're not a name, which I know your fans know who I am, anyone under the age of 30 actually knows who I am. That's the weird thing for me is that, I'll walk into a room, and if everybody's over 30, I think, they don't know anything I've done, because most people in Hollywood don't really watch anything but what's on the most popular thing on Netflix. Well, I'm not on those shows. I can't get in those rooms to audition. That's why I've been doing the kind of stuff I have. So hopefully, they're bringing HBO Max has Mad TV. Hopefully they'll say, hey, she did this a while ago, but she's still been working, and I'm hoping that people, I've been hoping for a while, like people know who I am.
Yeah.
Because you have to be, unfortunately, a name, and, Elon Musk had it right. Memes win. If you're not famous with a meme, which I actually have one or two, then you just don't get jobs. And I hate that world, but that's where we are.
Yeah, and playing that social media game, which, we've even found out here on the show as we've grown it over the last 3 years, it doesn't always mean people are going to gravitate towards you, because we've had some big people push us out, and I'll get like barely any bumps from it, and I'm always surprised. So as much as the industry probably looks at social media, it's not everything. It's really who can do the job and how entertaining it is. So
yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, I could care less about most of the people that have. They'll even say that now. I don't know if you read Hollywood Reporter, but they'll say, they have 55 million followers across 3 platforms. And it's never 55 million, but it's just like, who cares? The big thing that they do is ride a dirt bike into piles of garbage,
Yeah.
And they're signed with CAA, and you're like, wow, I remember when I wanted to be signed by CAA, and that's their criteria. Well, I better go buy a dirt bike.
You picked the wrong part of the entertainment industry, apparently.
I did. Jeez, there's so much more out there I need to look into.
Well, the hook of our show, Mary, and I don't know if you've heard any of our shows yet, but Fancounters always talks about the weirdest, creepiest, scariest. Maybe you've had a stalker. I want to know what it's like.
That's not entertainment. Stalkers are real. They're terrifying.
No, I know. We've had a few people that have had stalkers tell their story here. It is terrifying. Have you had a stalker?
Yeah, you have to be careful with that stuff. So, okay. So I love that idea that you have creepiest, weirdest, though. Continue.
Well, I want to hear about your encounters with your fans. So what fan encounters have you had that stick in your memory forever and ever?
Oh, gosh. I wish. No, I don't wish that. Oh, my gosh. I didn't say that. You don't want the creepy encounters. Most encounters, 95% of encounters I've had. Okay, I went on vacation in Hawaii a few years ago before anybody knew what a pandemic was.
Right.
And I'm on the beach, and this is middle of the day. The sun is blaring down on you, your brain is getting just dried up. And I swear I hear someone yelling either my name or a character that I played on some past show. Am I hearing things? Why is someone yelling my name? I look at my family sitting on the beach, not them, and it's just some fan yelling at me I know you. I know who you are. You're that lady. That for me is yes. Now what do we do?
Right, exactly. And your end game is what?
Yeah. So I've only had weird, fun, positive, and a lot of times the most sweetest thing, I'll teach a class of actors and we'll be doing improv, and it goes on for 12 weeks. And at the end of the 12 weeks, you say, okay, well, let's talk about how you did in the class. And then they'll just say, okay, first of all, I just want to finally say that I'm a huge fan of yours.
And they're all nervous.
And they just start melting. I'm like, oh, I wish you could have said that for 12 weeks. We could have gotten over that,
Yeah. We would have gotten along a lot better. You would have been my favorite.
Oh, yeah. No, it's I do get stopped. My son said, "You can't come to my high school anymore. I can't stand it. People are always saying, oh my gosh, whoever, can I have an autograph?" He said, "No, I'm sick of it. People are always bugging you." So kids, when they're your kids, they want their own private life, and I don't blame them. So my dad was the high school shop teacher that nobody liked. So I had kind of the opposite experience of oh my God, you're his daughter? Oh my God, he was so mean to me in class. Oh my God, how did you survive him? And I'm just yeah, this is the same thing, only your mom's on TV,
Yeah. Oh, man.
So No weird stuff. Sorry.
That's
Let me try
too
and
bad.
invent something real quick.
I was like, you said 95% are the good ones. So I said, well, we don't want to hear about those. We want the 5%. Give us something good.
Well, I can say something. Whenever you do those like convention things or fan signing type things, there's some weirdness there. It's like someone coming up to the table, you've got your pile of scripts, your arm is cramping up, and you're really happy to be there, that you're asked to meet fans, because that's always fun.
Mm-hmm.
Then someone stands at the table and they just get way too close to you, and then they're breathing on you, and you're like, oh man, they're missing half their teeth, and what do they want from me? And you just get that vibe of like, help, this isn't normal, help, get me out of here. So I have had just a couple of those. Yeah, so
Okay.
not in the last couple years, but
Well,
they think they know you, some people, and they don't. They don't know you just because you're on TV.
Mary,
I don't know them. They don't know me.
we talk about that all the time, the disconnect between reality of people seeing you on TV every week and not realizing you're not that character. You really do have your own life, and that is just a job. And some people, it's so funny, can't like figure that out.
But have you ever done that, though, where
Yeah.
maybe you don't have this experience because it's L.A.? I taught a girl, a 14-year-old, a couple years back, and her dad was someone I was a huge fan of, but I didn't recognize him. And he's just talking to me like, oh, I have to pick up my daughter early. I said, oh, that's fine. Then I look at him, and there's that moment where you just freeze, and you're like, oh, my God, I love you so much. I'm a huge fan. And then you're on the opposite end of it where you're like, you weirdo, you don't know him.
Right, exactly. When I was just starting college or something, Dawson's Creek was on TV, and I used to watch that show. So my cousin and I traveled to Wilmington to go to all the sites and stuff, and we actually ran into where they were filming a couple of different times. But I never...
I love Wilmington. I've been there. It's beautiful.
It is. I would retire there in a heartbeat. It's a
Yes.
very quaint little town. But, even running into James Vanderbeek and Katie Holmes and Meredith Monroe and all those people, it was just like, hey, can I get a picture? Okay, great. And then I'm out. I'd never, geeked about that, even though inside I was kind of thinking, this is really cool. I feel like I'm part of the show. But I knew I wasn't, and I knew that they weren't living that life.
Well, because you're sane.
I guess.
There is a little bit of insanity that goes with this, that because I've seen you on TV, I'm your friend or I know you. No, I really am a stranger. So stranger danger, keep your distance.
Yeah. Well, you've worked with some people that I truly admire. One of those is Julie Andrews. I was introduced to her show, Julie's Green Room, by my kids who were watching that in school. Part of some of their curriculum was learning about the arts through that show.
Oh, how lovely. That's nice. Yeah, that incorporated a lot of acting, puppetry. Wasn't there a lot of music in that too?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Is working with puppets different than filming with people? I mean, I know that there are people with the puppets, but you're literally with puppets, so.
Well, I wish I could speak firsthand. I mean, I had a friend who made a lot of puppets, so I love puppets in general. He was an art director in film. And unfortunately, he passed away while shooting a film in Arizona a few years back. But I have all of his handmade puppets. On the green room, I did not interact with the puppets.
Oh, okay.
I was on a separate set. So TV is so clever because they can make it seem like, oh, you're doing this, or you're interacting with someone, you're really not there. I was in a remote theater doing my interview. So I wish I could say that I was working with puppets, but a lot of people that I've worked with in the past have worked with Jim Henson's Muppets, because there's a lot that goes into puppetry that's improvisation, and the taller you are, the better you are as a puppeteer, apparently, for those live shows. But I wish I could say that I actually worked with them. That would be cool.
My research failed me. I really thought you were in one of the episodes.
Yeah,
Stuck
you don't
on
know the
it.
truth about that. So, should I just lie and say, oh,
No,
my
it's
gosh,
fine.
the puppets were so lovely, the felt was so clean? That would be lying.
Yeah, we don't do that here. No.
No.
One of my favorite shows of the past decade, it was a show called Life in Pieces, which ended abruptly with no particular reason at all. But it was a Modern Family-esque type show. It was several short stories that they worked into one 30-minute episode. And it's a premise that I kind of wish that we would see more often, these unique ways of presenting a story. So do you think that we're going to see more shows evolve kind of with unique formats like this, or, are these anomalies?
I feel like a lot of shows always have an A and B storyline. There's the main storyline, then there's that, how are they going to resolve this? And I don't know about you, but I watch a lot of television from other countries, and they're so genius at really weaving together like these ends that you say, how are these going to connect? I love Modern Family. Life in Pieces was pretty amazing because I think they did A, B, and C storyline.
Correct.
I think they did really complicated stuff, which made it really great for actors because then you can hire more cast because you have more things going on. And I really feel like there's a lot of television that does that because the standards now are so high for a great TV show because there's so much of it, and so much of it is good.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it was it may be in our minds it was an anomaly, but I think that's just great writing. I think great TV writing is able to just do all that and see the end and, figure out, okay, here's our first episode and here's our 50th episode or whatever it is,
Now, since that's one of my favorite shows and you were on it, can you tell me a little behind the scenes story about working on the show? What was your experience like with the cast?
Really fun, really normal and pleasant, and just like I was only a guest star, which means you're only there for a week at the most. So don't think that I was there for my old friends from Life in Pieces,
Yeah.
Could not, in fact, you can always tell the climate of a TV show by where in the break area, craft services, whatever, they set up chairs. And if none of the main cast is sitting there and, mingling with the guest cast, it's going to be really unfun. I knew that because one of my first big roles was an episode of Seinfeld. And I was just getting coffee or something, and is it Michael Richards or Michael Richardson? I can't remember his last
Michael
name.
Richards, yeah.
Yeah, I heard someone talking to me. I'm like, oh, yeah, of course you can have whatever this non-dairy creamer is. And it was, and Jerry Seinfeld, everybody on that set, just if they're chatting with you as if, it's just a normal, lovely, everyday occurrence, it's going to be a great time. And Life in Pieces was like that because the main cast was just sitting in chairs around craft services, running their lines, which is what actors should do, interact, rehearse. They weren't off on their own like, I got my lines, how about you? Good luck, you're on your own. That's the worst set to be on. You're just, especially comedy.
Yeah.
The first few runs are just like, okay, well, we got the lines up, but, come on, can we make it funny? Can it have a little life to it? And you don't get that just running at once, so.
Cool. Okay.
Sorry, Clint Eastwood, you're wrong.
This is a question that I hear on a local radio show, and I've started to use it because I like the answers that I get back. So what do you know, Mary, that we don't know?
Oh, my gosh. Okay. I was thinking this is going to be kind of sick, but I write with a fountain pen. Because I got when my mom passed away a few years ago, I got this bag of stuff that she had, and in it was my grandfather's fountain pens, and it had his teeth marks in it. And fountain pens use a metallic tip where the ink flows through it.
Yeah.
And fountain pens can only be used by one person because they bend to how your hand writes. And I thought that was the coolest thing because my grandfather's pen is part of him, So I thought, okay, this is such a cool thing that now whenever I need to buy a gift for somebody, I usually buy a fountain pen with a little thing of ink, and having to write with a fountain pen slows you down because the ink sometimes doesn't come out as quickly as a ballpoint, and it's more creative than typing on a keyboard. So I'm going to say weirdness, fountain pen lady.
Cool. Nice. See, we wouldn't have gotten that. I wouldn't have known to ask anything about that. So that's our special tidbit we get.
Or praying mantises are cool. You choose.
I don't want to see one here in my house.
They're good bugs. They eat the bad ones. They eat the good ones too. But man, you can keep them as pets. So, all right, that might be weirder. Keep that one.
Okay. You've got some things coming up, and I want to talk about those a little bit. You're doing voices in a video game, right?
Yes. In fact, I'm going to be recording next week. It's so weird because we had to convert a closet into a recording studio, which my son is my sound engineer, which is really kind of fascinating because that's what he's going to be studying in college in the fall.
Nice.
And it's called Twin Mirror. It's a French production company called Don't Nod Productions. And I've done a few voices on it, and so I'm going in again next week. It's one of those interactive video games where you choose where the story goes.
Love it.
So the reason I love it is you get to kind of write it as it goes. Warning, there is foul language, and I think there might be some violence. I haven't seen a lot. It's just graphically beautiful, and I get to play all these different characters with different accents from different part of the country. So a lot of actors say, oh, I can do a Southern accent. Well, can you do an accent, like you said, from Wilmington, North Carolina? Is it North or South Carolina? I always mix it up.
North.
And, these regional accents are so specific that it's like, oh, I hope so. I hope that sounds authentic, But, yeah, that's the video game I do. And then everything was dead for a while because of the pandemic, but things are picking up. And so hopefully I missed out on a pilot right before everything shut down. I was really hoping, okay, well, I didn't get the lead on that, but how about that character that just opens the door and says, hey, everybody, that lady.
Yep. Those are the memorable ones a lot of times.
Oh, my gosh. Those are my favorite because no pressure. You don't have to do the press junket till midnight every day and then be up at 5 a.m. But you get to create a character and you're in every other episode and, you do your job and you mix with the cast and they love you. And I'll never forget, like, when I had done a few episodes at iCarly, I was walking onto the set and I heard screaming. And it was Nathan Kress and Miranda and Jeanette McCurdy screaming because I was there and running to hug me. And I thought, oh, my gosh, that's who you want to be,
That's awesome. Like, was that beginning of the run, or end?
It was probably like the third or fourth episode.
That's early.
They like your character if you are. I mean, I was in the pilot, but I think it wasn't until like the third or fourth episode where it might have been fifth. I don't know, but that set was a little funny because it was a little bit like because of who was running it, walking on eggshells a little bit. Like, you better not make a mistake. And fortunately, he's gone. But
I know who you're talking about.
So any joy was like, yay, we get to have fun, So I always look for that, like, make it fun. This is supposed to be fun. Anything creative is supposed to have joy and fun. And if it's not that, forget it. Oh, and Michelle Obama was a guest star towards the end of the run.
I remember that.
That was so cool. And I just remember one day, I show up, and that set was a labyrinth. It was like this complicated maze. So before I would do my scenes, I would kind of run around, behind the sets. It brings your energy up, just a little jaunt, because you have to go perform. You have to have energy. I remember it's like I'm the weirdo who's walking about behind the sets. And I ran into, like, Secret Service. I'm like, whoa, you're back here too? Why are you here? And then I realized, oh, that's right, because Michelle Obama's going to be on the show. It was so cool that she did that. I love her.
Did Secret Service ever harass you because maybe they didn't know who you were?
No, they know long before they go anywhere, they get your name on a list and make sure you're okay. So I wouldn't have even been anywhere near that lot which is no longer the Nickelodeon lot anymore, unfortunately, because that was a really cool studio. I did one of my first jobs there. I can't remember the name of it, but anyway.
That's all right.
That was just a cool experience of, Michelle Obama liked the show. She was a fan. Her daughter's the same age as my daughter. And so that was just, one of those life experiences like, wow, this is really happening. Quincy Jones loved me and hired me to be on Mad TV. That's the kind of stuff you take with you,
Yep. Those are special moments. And I really appreciate you being here on the show, giving us some of those special moments too, so we can learn more about your career and some of those highlights that you'll never forget. So I really appreciated having you on the show, Mary.
Oh, well, I hope it was fun, Nick. It was so nice getting to know you a little bit, and tell your daughters, just keep trying. The only thing you can do wrong is give up. So you will have to drag me off a stage or in front of people, and your daughters have to be the same way. Just when you get, when you don't get a job, just get ready for the next one. So it just, you have to be resilient now more than ever. So
great advice.
My sister-in-law is an engineer, so it can be done. She's a brilliant electrical engineer, so they're out there.
You bet they are. Where can we find you on social media? Throw out your handles to us.
Oh, Twitter is the Mary Scheer, at Scheer, and Instagram is at Scheer Mary, Scheer. I always say it's Cheer with an S in front of it. Ew, did you just want to barf a little bit?
No, I like that. You have been very cheerful with us.
Please follow me. Yes. Oh, yes. Be cheerful. Always be hopeful. Never give up. Social media. All right. 55 million followers. Here I go to get my dirt bike, ride it into a pile of garbage, and light it on fire. That's my edge.
Ready, set, go. You should hashtag that, cheerful. Get that going. We'll get it started. I'm gonna take this episode with cheerful.
Yes, please do, because
right?
everybody misspells my last name. That's how it's hard to find you when you can't spell someone's last name. Yeah. So I'm not transparent. There's a C in there. It's not Scheer. It's Scheer.
I spelled it right on all my emails.
Yes, you did, Nick, but you're smart. There's a lot of people out there like, I don't have the time to spell your name right.
Oh,
even
please.
In like higher up circles where it's like, you should at least spell someone's name right. You want a job? Spell their name right.
Yeah. It's not that hard.
All right. Well, that was fun. Thank you for inviting me to Fancounters, Nick. And I hope it goes on forever. And you get, maybe I don't want you to be on TV. Is it Elizabeth? Maybe she should just make a puppet of herself.
Yeah, probably we should. That would be, actually, we could make like a Crank Yankers type version of the podcast. Look at that.
Oh my
I have
gosh,
a new
I
idea.
love that show.
Me too.
Yes.
Okay, I've taken enough of your time, and I really appreciate it very much. I hope you stay healthy and get back to work soon.
Yes, same to you, and thank you. That was fun and easy.
My thanks to Mary Scheer for being on the show this week, our very first fan write-in request guest. And you can do the same thing. If you have somebody that you want to be on the show, send us an email to hello@fancounters.com. Now, we've got another celebrity guest with a very interesting thing he's doing. I'm not going to give anything away, but please join us next week. You'll find out an unusual job that somebody is trying to get. And we're going to find out how he's getting it, how he's going about doing it, and a little bit about why he wants this particular job, which is a very high-profile job. And I think you're going to find it very interesting. So come back next week to Fan Counters. We are releasing episodes every Friday, and we would love to have you back. Send me an email, hello@fancounters.com. Follow us on Instagram @FanCountersLive. Our big Facebook group is Fan Counters on Facebook. Until next week, have a great week and stay safe, and we will talk to you next Friday. Bye-bye.